Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a fascinating, quiet revolution happening right now, literally in the dirt. So forget about chatbots taking your office job for just a minute. Today, we really need to talk about why artificial intelligence is going to replace physical farm workers way faster than you think.
Right now, we're all kind of panicking about generative AI writing our emails and doing our spreadsheets, right? But if you look out at the agricultural sector, you see this brilliant contradiction. Is AI coming for the farmer's job? Well, the answer is incredibly layered, and honestly, it's moving at breakneck speed. The Anthropic AI Labor Report from March 2026 illustrates this perfectly. According to their data, AI can theoretically handle about 94% of computer and math tasks. But out in the fields, a staggering 30% of physical workers, like farm laborers, have what researchers call zero coverage. Why? Because generative AI just struggles profoundly with unpredictable, messy environments. Pruning a tree or driving through a muddy field requires embodied intelligence that large language models simply don't possess. Which brings us to Section 1, the AI automation paradox. So we have this massive paradox. Farm work seems totally safe from AI, yet robots are hitting the fields at an unprecedented pace. To understand why tech is rushing to the dirt, we have to look at the massive labor shortage. Get this, there was a 50% decline in hired U.S. farm laborers between 1950 and 2000 alone, and finding a reliable workforce has only gotten harder into the 2020s. There simply aren't enough humans left willing to do the work. That scarcity drives agricultural labor costs past $53 billion annually. I mean, that is a massive expense for producers, and it absolutely trickles down to your grocery bill. So the intense financial pressure to innovate and automate is forcing this robotic revolution to happen at lightning speed, even when the physical environment is incredibly challenging to navigate. The industry is taking this seriously from the ground up. Academic models, like a really fascinating Harper Adams University study, are heavily researching swarm robotics. They're finding that teams of smaller, automated machines can completely restructure the cost of production. Removing human equipment operators entirely can actually make even small, irregularly shaped farms internationally competitive. It's a real game changer. Moving right along to Section 2, the era of bounded automation. Now, you might be wondering, if AI can't mimic a human farmer in a messy environment, how do these robots actually work? The answer is bounded automation. Tech companies aren't building a walking, talking C-3PO in overalls. Instead, they're narrowing the job down to highly specific, repeatable tasks, things like steering, spraying, or weeding. They just restrict the environment until the machine can do it perfectly. This targeted approach, it's causing real-world breakthroughs way faster than anticipated. John Deere's See & Spray technology has already cut herbicide use by an average of 59%, just by recognizing and targeting the weeds and ignoring the crops. Plus, new combine harvesters are using forward-looking stereo cameras to automatically adjust their speed based on the weed patches they spot ahead in real time. And honestly, it gets even more sci-fi. Carbon Robotics Lizard Reader G2 has been trained on over 150 million labeled plants across 3 continents. It uses high-powered lasers with sub-millimeter precision to identify and literally obliterate up to 600,000 weeds an hour. No chemicals, no hand tools, just pure computational destruction. Thanks to advanced transformer-based image recognition, these systems identify weeds in messy, dusty, real-world conditions with 94 to 97% accuracy. They can process glare, variable terrain, and plant shadows fast enough to make split-second decisions that would exhaust a human worker within minutes. Let's dive into Section 3, Robotics-as-a-Service. High-tech robots packed with lasers and edge computing are incredibly expensive. But a massive business model shift is accelerating this transition so it can reach the average farmer today. Enter Robotics-as-a-Service, or RaaS. Instead of buying $1 million robot up front, mid-tier farmers rent fleet-based robotic services on a seasonal subscription. It's essentially like cloud computing, but for heavy farm machinery. This model is scaling aggressively and is the primary reason this shift is happening faster than anyone predicted. The agricultural RaaS market is projected to explode from an estimated $480 million in 2025 to a massive $2.87 billion by 2034. It's targeting the largest underserved market segment globally, mid-tier farm operators who just couldn't previously afford that kind of capital investment. So what does this actually mean for the workers? Well, data from Harper Adams shows a drastic shift in farm labor allocation. When a farm adopts autonomous fleets, human labor moves out of the tractor cab and spikes heavily in logistics. Specifically, we're seeing a massive increase in the labor needed for grain hauling during harvest. The robots pick it, sure, but humans still have to haul it to market.
And why is this hyperscaling happening right now, today? Because the supporting tech finally caught up. We've seen a 70% drop in GPS RTK positioning costs. New heavy-duty batteries easily hit 14-hour capacities to keep robots in the field all day long. And powerful edge computing means the AI can run locally out in the middle of nowhere without needing continuous cellular or cloud connectivity.
Which brings us to a really important point in Section 4, the human and ethical cost.
This hyper-efficiency carries a profound weight for a vulnerable, often migrant workforce. Listen to Lulu Cardenas. She's a 61-year-old farm worker who has spent 20 years in the California fields. She says, "I feel replaced by something like that. I'm going to have a hardship to help my family." While investors see scaled efficiency, the workers doing these arduous tasks see an existential threat to their livelihoods. Ethicists are actively waving red flags about how we're structuring this transition. We're moving from humans in the loop, where people actively work with and control machines, to humans on the loop, where they merely supervise highly automated systems. This shift fundamentally de-skills the workforce, stripping them of their deep, hard-earned contextual knowledge of the fields.
This de-skilling creates a fascinating and dangerous phenomenon researchers call a moral crumple zone. If an autonomous tractor crashes or makes a critical error, who takes the fall? Often, human supervisors are blamed for failures in automated systems that they barely control and weren't properly trained to override in a crisis. The human supervisor takes the impact for the machine's mistake.
Finally, Section 5, evolving, not replacing. Ultimately, the goal must be human-centered design that upskills rather than discards. And we are seeing progress here. Companies like Sabanto are focusing on retrofitting existing tractors to be autonomous, letting farmers adapt gradually. Meanwhile, at the federal level, the U.S. Department of Labor is actively drafting aid programs to train displaced agricultural workers to become the drone operators and fleet programmers of tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, the farmer still runs the farm. No neural network can replicate the intuition, the profound understanding of the soil, and the deeply nuanced judgment a farmer develops over a lifetime of working the land. AI is just a shiny new tool to execute a plan. The human is the one who sets the strategy. Bounded automation and robot fleets are revolutionizing agriculture so much faster than we expected. So the critical question we have to ask ourselves is this: will the farm of the future need a tractor driver or a robot supervisor? And how do we empower human workers to evolve alongside the machines stepping in to feed the world? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the future, and I'll see you next time.